Hello. Reviewing my personal growth over the past year as student teaching and then just being in the classroom as a whole has been a full year of growth. One thing I can say going into 2020 has been a very, very different, also challenging year. With everything going from being in the classroom to virtual, it was a huge adjustment that I myself had to make along with my students. The way I like to describe it is kind of like inventing a car and trying to drive it at the same time. It's a lot of new things that we're learning ourselves and also trying to teach our students and get our parents on board with the program and things that we're running. So this year was a lot of challenges, but I would say this year I have learned a lot, and I have to say the transition, especially the use of technology in the classroom. One of the things that my first year of teaching that I wanted to see more of is actually the use of technology in the school systems, and today I am seeing that. For my personal self, what I say that one of the ways that I would say I personally develop is through trial and error. I try different things and then I learn from those things that I try and I make corrections on them. And another thing that I also do is I include my students. I always take surveys. So after we complete a certain unit or a certain lesson, I always ask my students, what did they like about their lesson? What did they like about the teaching? How could the teaching be more interesting? If they can teach a lesson themselves, how would they teach that lesson? I always give them surveys so I can get their feedback and what I'm doing correctly, what they would like to see, and what can actually help them as a student. I firmly believe that this is their education, and students should have the right to decide how their education is ran. They should decide how they're being taught certain things, and even some of the things that they learn in the classroom. You want to give them input in certain things that they do. So one of the things that I do is I give my students input. We have a 4 hour and a half of intervention, and this is the goal, just to help get our students' test scores up. And one of the things that I would like my students to do is I want them reading more. So what I do is I spend time in the classroom by giving them fun materials to read. So I take a survey of maybe genres they like to read, things they like to talk about, even movies they like to watch, and I find things that are age appropriate for them, and we read those in the classroom. This is a step away from the actual curriculum that we have designed for the school, and it gives them more of an interest in things that they can read. It also gives them an option to pick something that they like to read. And when you have a say-so on your education and have a say-so on what you're learning, you're more interested in actually learning that material versus somebody giving you this and saying you have to learn this. When you're being appointed to do things, kids are not as open and receptive to doing that as if they have the option and a choice of their own. And a lot of times in society and things like that, we don't give students that option. So I would say that's one thing I have learned. And just invite and putting my own values into the classroom. One thing that I like to do is I like to make my students all feel included. I teach a wide variety of different